It makes sense, right? People would not want to commit to something for the long term and go through the pain of signing a contract that holds them accountable. Like they just wouldn't sign up at all. And I think that's also probably another great thing about the memberships. It will deter the time wasters from the people who are committed. Did you find that was the case in your business?
Absolutely. Yeah. It almost like eradicated our cancellations or our no-shows in the business.
Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Beauty Industry Leaders podcast. Today I'm really excited because I'm bringing on a special guest. You may have heard of her. She is Tara Shaw, aka the membership expert. And let me tell you, if you've ever struggled with client retention, inconsistent revenue, or a team that just won't rebook clients, this episode is about to change everything for you. With over 2 decades in the aesthetics industry, Tara has done it all. Clinic owner, international educator, mentor, and now founder of the Aesthetic CEO Academy and the Client Retention Blueprint. She has helped hundreds of clinic owners stop relying on constant new clients, fix their rebooking struggles, and create predictable revenue with treatment plans and memberships that actually work. If you've ever thought, my team just isn't good at selling, clients don't want to commit to long-term treatment plans, I need to keep running ads to get new bookings, then this episode is for you. Tara is here to break the industry myths, tell you why client retention is the real secret to profit, and share exactly how to fix the mistakes that are keeping your business stuck. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Tara. How are you feeling?
I'm great. Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here and chat all things industry business.
It's going to be epic. For anyone who doesn't know you or may have seen your name pop up, but they're not sure what it is you actually do, how would you summarize who you are and what you do?
I think the easiest thing would be that I am the treatment plan or membership expert for the aesthetics industry. So I specialize in client retention and helping clients, the clinic owners increase their profits in their business and really understand that that is a foundational piece of their business. And then they just don't have to be hustling all the time. That hustle culture is just BS. It just doesn't, need to have a place in our industry at all.
100% agree with you. And I think as well, memberships are a newer model for beauty businesses, but not necessarily other industries, which have proven so successful. You've got gym memberships. You've got what are the other memberships?
Like Netflix.
Yeah. You've got gym memberships. You've got subscriptions. Why are they all in other industries, but only now coming to beauty? And I think you really led the pathway to that. So I'm excited to pick your brain. But before we get into everything memberships, let's go back to where you started in the industry. What was that? Where did you start in your journey?
Yeah, I actually started in the journey as a very young teenager. I was very lucky. My cousin owned a clinic and I was probably a little bit naughty, and my mum and my cousin decided that I should go and do some work experience and keep myself busy. So I stayed out of trouble, and I had such a wonderful experience in the industry doing work experience, tea and tidy and answering the phones and, painting, bright red polish on nails and sitting in and watching facial treatments. And it just made me completely fall in love with the industry. And, nearly 25 years, I'm still here.
Well, you don't look like it's been 25 years. You look a lot younger than that. So obviously you've been getting some treatments and really.
Absolutely.
I love it. And so obviously you were working for someone else. At what stage did you branch out on your own and then end up having 2 clinics and 17 team members? That's a massive jump.
Yeah, huge jump. Yeah, I look back now and I think, what was I thinking? No, on honesty, I spent quite a lot of time, managing other clinics and, not just one clinic, but multiple clinics. I work with clinics where we had multi locations. I work with clinics in a management position with single locations. And I think just really having all of that experience under my belt, I kind of went, oh, I can do this. And so that's what kind of led me to, looking at starting my own. And I actually originally started with my own business being a home salon. And I just kind of, while the kids were at school, my daughter was in, kindy a couple of days a week. And so on the days where both the kids were at school, I worked in my home business. And on the days where my daughter was home, I didn't work. But I got to the point where I kind of outgrew my home space and I had an opportunity sort of pop up to purchase an established clinic that, it was doing okay, but it was a full service clinic. And I just kind of went, yeah, this is great. This is the next step. And boy, oh boy, was that an eye opener.
What makes you say that? Like, what were the problems that came up that maybe you weren't thinking about?
Yeah, I guess when you involve, you go from having a home salon into a commercial space, there's a lot more responsibility that comes, with that. And I don't think necessarily a diploma in beauty really prepares you for business ownership. I wish it did. I would have made my life a lot easier along the way. But I think a lot of the challenges were around, I guess, team and not being a great leader myself or having the experience to be a great leader for my team. And then also having that reoccurring revenue or predictable revenue in the business. We were constantly smashed with clients not turning up or last minute cancellations. And, back when I sort of first had, my commercial clinic, there really wasn't the support from point of sales with, credit card security or deposits and things like that. A lot of clients were still paying cash for their appointments and we were still using, the pencil and the paper in the book. And we're sort of just starting to shift over to a digital platform. So there's lots of pain points around that. And I guess a lack of foundations in the business that really needed to be established to make a huge change. Stop sitting on the reception room floor crying, thinking there's not enough money to pay everything or I'm not paying myself and I'm, busting my ass. And yeah, there was lots of lessons along the way, but it definitely has sort of shaped me, into my career in business. And I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I didn't face all of those challenges as well.
I think that's so true in everything you've said. Like, you have to go through the challenges to learn the lesson, to be able to become the person, to then get to the next step. Like, it doesn't, like, something that really interests me is how you could go to uni and study entrepreneurship, or you can go to TAFE and study, a certificate in business, but you're just studying business. You're not actually doing the thing. And until you do the thing, you're like, oh my gosh, there's no answer for this in the textbook. Like, Sally's called me up late because she hates this team member and like clients are canceling left, right and center. And, how are we going to make money next week? Like, no textbook can really prepare you for that.
No. And there's nothing, I guess, really out there that is really dedicated to our industry either from a degree perspective either. And as we all know that our industry is really special and it's not like other industries, just like other industries aren't like ours as well too. So I don't think there is, a hard and fast rule when it comes to running a business. It can be a bit of trial and error, but biggest lesson I learned is you have to have a plan and you have to have a strategy and, you have to keep checking in on that plan and seeing where you're at along the way. Because if you kind of go, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do and then have zero plan behind it, you're going to really struggle to make that happen.
100% agree with everything you're saying. Did you find that when you were trying to scale the business up, because obviously growing to 17 team members, that's a significant amount of team, what kind of support or guidance did you have throughout that process, or were you just doing it all on your own?
I was just winging it, to be honest. I eventually got to the point where I was like, okay, shit, I think I might need some help here. And I did invest in mentors along the way, and some were great and some not so great. But I think the biggest lesson that I learned out of all of that is just having an actual plan and being able to make decisions, with a clear goal in mind, opposed to just making a decision because the salon down the road is doing it, or, oh, that's a great idea, or that's a shiny new thing that I want to be, doing. They were some really hard decisions, in business and looking back upon those. I probably didn't need to have 17 people on my team to, have my business have the success that it did. But, at the time I thought I was making the right decisions in more team, more resource, more money. But it's not always the case.
I think a lot of people get caught in that trap of like it becomes a numbers game, but then it's like you actually have to make sure those team are booked out. Otherwise, the profit is just going to
Yeah.
I'm really curious. So you went from having this team, you had 2 clinic locations, and now you don't even run a salon anymore. Like what made you pivot?
I love education, and I think my inbox was flooded with clinic owners reaching out saying, I love what you're doing. I want to learn more about the treatment plans. And I just was sort of really helping people along the way. And I just thought, you know what? I might as well actually make this a little bit more formal and help people and do something that I'm really, really, really passionate about. And I guess, being a therapist first and foremost and having that, relationships and connective touch and conversations with people, that really then transpired, I guess, into my role now as an educator and a mentor, and still being able to have those connections, with people. You support them through, the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. And I guess it's no different to clients who are coming in, with skin concerns and feeling like they're lacking confidence or they're frustrated, to be able to see them absolutely thrive and feel confident in their skin. It's, being a mentor and an educator in this space, it has that same kind of outcome. And I guess that really, dopamine feeling of happiness as well too. So that's, that I guess for me, I really was passionate about helping people with their skin and helping people with their business. And it turns out I'm pretty good at it, apparently. So my clients,
build a successful business by wanting to help people, not having the primary focus of making money. Like if you're in it for the money, like most of the time you'll just burn through the industry or people will feel that straight away. But like coming and seeing, the way you show up for your clients, the amount of value you have to provide, who you are as a person, I think, that value exchange, like money and like success in business is just a byproduct of you being a good person, which I think is really interesting when you look at businesses that have done well. It's like how much value do they have to provide? How much do they focus on the client experience? And you've obviously done that really well, not only in salon, but also now in this next chapter of like mentorship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know my mentor actually says to me all the time, like, what's next for you? Where are you going? Like, what's the next financial goal? And I'm like, oh, actually just happiness is probably the next, thing. And I'm happy. So I'm okay where I'm at right now. And I think we're always going to be, developing and learning and taking those steps forward, in your business and in your life. But I also think it's, happiness is probably the absolute, winner in all things. And I don't know, people say money, money will buy you happiness, but I don't know, maybe I disagree. I think as long as you've got enough to put a roof over your head and you're happy and, you've got a beautiful friends and family to surround you and your network to surround you, I mean, what more could you really want?
I think a lot of business owners get caught up in that pursuit of success and then their fulfillment levels are just gone. Like if you are making massive amounts of money, but you've sacrificed relationships, you've sacrificed your health, you sacrifice all of your time, like how much is that success actually worth? I'm actually really I know you're a mum, and for a lot of people that are listening to this show, they probably either are a mum or they're looking to have kids or something along the lines of that. And I don't have kids, so I feel like an asshole when I say I can go out and travel and do all these things. I'm like really interested to know, how have you found it trying to manage being a mum and also running a business? Because for clients I work with, they've got this little gap in the day from like school drop off to pick up. And then maybe once the kids are asleep, they'll, stay up until 1 a.m. And it's a different kind of hustle. Like, how did you manage that?
Yeah, when I owned the clinic, so there was definitely a lot of hassle, that took place until I implemented the treatment plans and the memberships. And it was challenging. I missed out on heaps, with my kids when they were really little. And sort of as I progressed in the business and really set up that structure of the memberships and the subscriptions and that reoccurring revenue, one thing I sort of realized was it wasn't about making as much money as possible. It wasn't about making millions and millions and millions of dollars. It was about setting a goal about what would actually make us happy, what was a goal that would satisfy our needs, and support the team, support our family. And that really changed, I guess, my perspective of business as well too. like you said, it's not always about the money. It's about the impact that you have. Not just the impact on your clients, but the impact on yourself and your own life and your family as well. So that really had a huge impact. And I think the biggest struggle, that came was missing out on the time with the kids. And now that's not something that I'm ever willing to forego. I have a really clear structure, mapped out in my calendar that, on these days I take the kids to school and I pick them up, or we go to after school activities together, or on the weekends, we do things together. And those things are actually in my calendar as calendar events. It's a non-negotiable. Nothing gets booked over them. And that was a hard lesson to learn, to prioritize myself and the things that were most important to me over anything else. Because how I turned up in my own life was how I was going to turn up in my business. And, my family and my kids, my husband, my kids make me the happiest version of myself. And so not spending enough time with them makes me, a pretty miserable person. And so I realized how important it was to actually prioritize that. And it had such a positive impact on my business.
That's really beautiful that you've created that space and you're really intentional with boundaries and time. Because I know obviously when you're building something big, you have to put so much time and effort in it to make it good. It's like business is like a baby. Like I say that to my partner. I'm like, I don't want kids yet because I'm literally building my business, which is my baby. Like it requires so much time and attention and energy. And like, I'm jealous of your kids. They have a mum who time blocks and is intentional and has that quality time. The only time I hung out with my parents was running businesses. Like, if we didn't like business and we weren't hanging out, like, yeah. So I think that's really cool that you do that.
Yeah. And I think it's really nice. Like I know over the weekend, my daughter was chatting with one of her friends and she said, oh, I'm going to go, mum's not working and I'm going to go and spend that time with her. Like, I'll call you later. And I just thought that's just so intentional, that my kids know, right, this is, I have intentionally blocked this time out to spend with them. It's dedicated to them. And even if they don't want to hang out with me, like I'm still there and I'm still present for them, and they just know as a non-negotiable, like as their mum, I'm always going to be there for them and they'll always be my priority no matter what. But that just to have that really intentional time for them, and it's quality time. I'm not distracted by work or, I'm not distracted by taking phone calls or emails or, Zoom meetings or anything like that at all. It's their time, and don't get me wrong, shit happens sometimes and it doesn't always go to plan, but you really have to just make the intention and the time for the things that make you happy. Otherwise you'll be miserable.
Definitely. How old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I've got 2 kids. My daughter is about to turn 14. My son's about to turn 16.
Oh, so you went through the height of building a business when they were super young, and then now do you feel like you've got a bit more time to yourself because they probably don't have to be supervised all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like having housemates sometimes.
Yeah, my parents were like that to me. They're like, you just come in, have dinner, and then you go to your room. Like,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I am officially the shortest person in our house now, so it really is. I'll be in the fridge and I'll turn around and my son's much taller than me, and I'm like, oh, there's a grown man in my house. Oh, okay. So it's very different compared to them being younger and having a business and them being older. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't easier now that they were older. It was definitely much more challenging when they were younger. I think your kids are always going to need you, but they need you the most when they're little. And I really do feel like I did miss out on quite a lot of things, and reflecting back, that's heartbreaking because I can't ever get that time back. And I wish I had the foresight then, knowing what I know now, that just spend the time with the kids. The business will still do its thing, and you'll find that if you're happy, you'll make better decisions in your business, and that money will flow into your business. Whereas if you're constantly stressed or you're under that constant hustle or pump all the time, you're going to neglect all of the things that make you happy, and then it's going to have that flow through effect into your business as well too. Hindsight's a beautiful thing though, isn't it?
Yes. Do you ever look back? Obviously you think about all the time you missed out, but do you ever consider that the effort and what you created back then has now given you the time you have with them to be present?
Yeah, it absolutely has. Like it definitely was a lot of effort to sort of put in to be able to get to, where I got now. And even sort of at the end of last year when I transitioned, I guess, into making, mentoring and educating my full time, sort of, I guess, work, if we can call it work, that there was that period of sort of 6 weeks where I was really building out all of the foundations because I knew how important that was to have a successful business. And I had the conversations with the family and I just said, look, the next 6 weeks is going to be rough. Are we all into, on this together? And it was great. I had dinner up in my office most nights. And so there's always going to be a period, I guess, where you are knuckling down and you're working hard. But I think if you have a plan and it's short term and you can see the results on the other side, then yes, absolutely, always knuckle down and do the work that needs to be done when it needs to be done. But just make sure it's not a forever thing because it's not sustainable.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think there's so much beauty in having your family on board with your dreams and your goals, because if you know that there's an outcome and you can work through it together and achieve these things, like, maybe mum's in her office for 6 weeks, but maybe like 6 months from now we're going on a holiday together,
Right.
So you can make up for it. It doesn't have to be like go, go, go all the time.
It's so interesting that you say that because that was exactly what happened. We took our kids overseas for the first time at the start of this year. We took them over to Bali for 2 weeks and they just lived their best life. And it honestly would not have been a reality to do something like that in such a short time frame had I have not spent that time to really build the business and the foundations and have that there before, I guess, going into launch mode. It wouldn't have had the impact that it had, and it wouldn't have had that financial reward that it had I have not spent the time doing that. And I guess everybody, in the family then gets to reap the rewards of that. And, I know my kids they're forever grateful for, all of the opportunities and experiences that they get. And, they know about money and they know about the value of money and how it works. I guess I'm also very lucky. My husband's a stay-at-home dad, or he prefers trophy husband. But, he also knows as well too that, he plays a really pivotal role in the success of my business by being that backbone and support at home as well. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I did if I didn't have the support network around me. And I think that's another really important element of having a successful business is surrounding yourself with the right people.
So much value there. I'm really, really loving everything you're sharing. So thank you for being so vulnerable and open about all of that. Let's move into your area of expertise. Tara, so many clinic owners are laser focused on getting new clients, but you say client retention is the real foundation of a successful business. Why do so many people keep getting this wrong?
I think they see gaps in their appointment book and the default is I need to put a client in there. And the default is let me go and find a client. Let me get a new client to put in there, when you have this incredible resource that's called a database in front of you full of clients that you have already probably paid really good money to attract in the first place. For the love of God, create a client retention strategy in your business. And when those new clients come through the door, keep them, because it costs you a hell of a lot of money to acquire them in the first place. So if you're bringing clients into your business and you don't have a client retention strategy, it's essentially like having a bucket with holes in it and they're literally going to fall out the bottom.
I have my own thoughts on this, but I'm really interested to hear what your opinion is. In your experience, what's the biggest misconception about why clients don't rebook?
Cost. I hear it all the time from clinic owners and their team. Oh, my client says it's too expensive and that's why they're not rebooking, and it's just not true. It's honestly just not true. That people will pay anything for anything. They'll pay any amount for something if they see the value in it. And if you're not providing that level of value or support to your client or providing a solution to the problems that they have, then they're absolutely not going to come back. But that's, again, where your client retention comes into play, and understanding, your client journey forms part of your client retention. Your rebooking process forms part of your client retention. You're creating a plan for your client, or a treatment plan or a treatment program creates part of your client retention process. If clients don't know what's coming next, how could you possibly expect them to keep coming back over and over again if it's just, an appointment. You're just treating them like a number if you don't have a plan for them. But often the default excuse from a client is, I can't afford it, or I have to think about it. And it's just not true. People are buying designer handbags and luxury cars all of the time. Even when we talk about this, financial whatever is going on, it's just not true. People will pay whatever needs to be paid if they see value in it, and if it is a solution to a problem that they have. Is it going to work for them, and is it right for them? And that's all you have to ensure that your client knows. Yes, it's right for them. Yes, it's going to work for them.
So many things were just going through my mind, and I was like, you know what? It's really interesting that most clinic owners will either blame their team or they'll blame clients, saying, like you're saying, money is the problem or the cost. But I genuinely believe that the problem is not having confidence in sales skills, and then thinking that selling is being a sleazy car salesman. Like, I've never actually met a sleazy car salesman in my life. Funnily enough, like, I know some people have had bad experiences, but like, where the fuck did that come from? Because I've never had a bad experience with that. And I think there's so many times where we've gone to our favorite restaurant and we've been looked after. We've been wined and dined. You get that customer experience. You have the yummy food and you walk out and you're like, you know what? I'm going to write them a 5-star review. And it's like, maybe it's not the cost. It's actually, you don't feel confident. You don't have the sales skills yet. And I think the client retention strategy of having a plan and educating your customers about not just, hey, you need to come back in 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Like, why do they need to come back? How does that help the results? That's when you're going to see people coming back on a consistent basis. It's like, you would know this, Tara. When you tell your kid, don't do that, and they're like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, explain to them why you don't run out in front of the car on the road. Like, they might go, oh, I'll give it a go. No, don't do that. You're going to get hit. You're going to die. Like,
yeah. It's like, don't touch the stove, it's hot. Don't touch the stove, it's hot. And they touch it anyway. It is. And you're saying about like this sleazy car salesman, like, where did it come up? And like, I don't know, maybe it's because we all grew up watching, the movie Matilda, the dad in Matilda, he's a sleazy car salesman, and I don't know, maybe that's had an impact. You kind of look at things like that and go, or I don't want my clients to feel that way. So I don't want to be pushy, or I don't want to be salesy. But the reality is if you're not educating your client on what is actually going to be a solution, for them, what's actually going to work for them and what's actually right for them, you're doing them a disservice. You're not actually providing them the level of service that you need to be providing, for them. They've come to you because they have a problem that they can't solve themselves. They've probably already tried, or, maybe they just don't even know what to do or how to fix it. And so you're the person that they have come to fix that problem that they have. And whether that is a skin condition like acne or pigmentation, or whether it is, just helping them feel confident, in their own skin, or whether it's just to relax and lower their cortisol levels because they're, absolutely stressed out of their mind. Whatever it is, like, I don't think I've ever really had a client come to me in my years of having, clinics and servicing clients. I don't think I've ever had a client come to me and say, oh, I'm just having a facial just because. Because I woke up today and just thought I'd book a facial and just go, yeah, cool. That's, it just doesn't really happen. If even if someone's coming in to have a treatment because they want to relax, it's, I'm on a holidays and I've just decided I wanted to treat myself and do this, or I'm actually feeling really stressed and I just needed to do this. Like, that's a problem with that client, and you have a solution for them. They're on holidays, they want to relax, you've got a solution for them. They're stressed, they need to lower the cortisol, you've got a solution for them. So people come to you because they have a problem, and you have the solution. And I think that's so important to remember. It's not about selling, it's about providing a solution.
Well, it's serving them, right? Like, think of selling as serving. As soon as you go from like, something really interesting, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, is I'm sure you're probably the same. You've had people come to me, I don't want to sound salesy. And I'm like, well, don't say to them, buy this thing and it's 20% off and buy it right now. That is salesy. Mm-hmm. But it's like exactly what you're saying. Here's the problem you're experiencing. This is the solution. Here's how it's going to help you, the benefit. This is what you can expect. All of a sudden they're like, oh, why would I not get that? I've just invested all this money to fix my skin. Why would I not follow the aftercare to maintain the result? It just doesn't make sense. It's like going to the doctor. You've got a UTI. You ask I want antibiotics. They give you the script and then you're like, nah. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Why would you suffer through that?
Exactly. You've spent all this money, this pain, this time, like, just do the thing.
I guess, if we think, from a skincare perspective, right, and how important our skin is, we only have one of them. We've got to take care of it. But your skin is essentially, I used to say to my clients, your skin is like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Like, would you buy a new Ferrari or a Lamborghini and drive out the parking lot with insurance? No. So your home care is your insurance for your Lamborghini or your Porsche or whatever, you want to classify it as. But,
my Toyota Camry.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I love my Prado. But, I think just helping your clients to understand the importance of it opposed to selling it. Like you said, buy this product, it's this amount, it's 20% off. Like, it's got nothing to do, with the client actually making the decision to invest in that. It's never about the cost.
And if you always do promote the discount or the sale, you're not promoting the value of the solution. You're attracting those bargain hunters, price shopper nightmare clients that they're not loyal to anyone but themselves. They are loyal to the next discount. They create the biggest headaches in business. Like, if you showcase the value of the solution or the transformation, like, people will pay full price. They'll even tip you. Like, oh my gosh, my skin therapist, she helped me with my back knee. It was actually really bad. Like, I went to Vietnam, got all of these like red dots on my back, and it started getting worse and it wouldn't go away. She actually did skin needling on my back and a couple peels and all of that, and it cleared up. And I just remember sitting there like, there's no dollar amount that I could have put on her fixing that, because as someone who was doing modeling, wearing low back dresses, having, it looks like chicken pox on my back, like, I was just so insecure about wearing anything that wasn't like covering my back. So, kind of a bit of a tangent, but still, people will pay the money for the solution. And, even more so because you're probably not pumping them with drugs, like they'd have to go to the dermatologist or something like that. So there's still value in what you do, even if you think it's just a service. It's so much more than that. It is the benefit, the outcome, the experience.
Yeah.
So Tara, you've worked with hundreds of clinic owners at this stage. Little flex. What's the most common mistake they make when trying to get clients to commit to long-term treatment plans?
Focusing on the price.
Ooh, back to the price.
It's got nothing to do with it. In all honesty, like, again, like back to talking about the designer handbag or the luxury car, if people see value in it, they're going to buy it. It's a solution to a problem that they have. They're going to buy it regardless of the price. And I think the other thing is, when it comes to creating, treatment plans and getting those commitments from the client, is trying to, I guess, market to sell, and then not having the conversations with your clients. If you're not having conversations with your clients about the treatment plans or the memberships that you're offering, it's the best kept fucking secret in your business. Like, talk about it, shout it from the rooftops, tell every single client who comes through the door about your treatment plans and your memberships, because they don't know what they don't know. And as you said earlier, memberships and I guess the likes of subscriptions or treatment plans in that style are still relatively new to our industry. And so it's going to be a new concept to your clients. So you have to have the conversation with your clients. So yeah.
So let's say I'm looking at adding in memberships or skin consultations, journeys, all the things. I kind of have a few services. I'm not sure how to actually package this together or what that even looks like. How do I do it?
Yeah, the key to this is keep it simple. The more complicated you have it, you're going to create an environment where you have a confused buyer, and your team will be confused as well, and they're going to really struggle to sell or make commitments. So number one is actually having a look at your service menu and just make sure it's streamlined, it's simple, and it's really easy to understand. So the best thing to do is have a look at your website or your online booking and go through that process yourself. Pretend that you're a client. Is it really easy for you to make an appointment? Do you know what you're making an appointment for? When you look at the service list, are you confused about what to book? If you pretend like you know nothing about treatments, as a client, would you know exactly what to book? And if the answer is no, well, then your first step to creating a treatment program or membership is actually having a look at your service menu and refining it and simplifying it and making sure that it's profitable. The next is creating a treatment plan or membership that is actually going to be suitable for your ideal client. Because if you go and create 100 different treatment plans to suit every, person that's out there, well, then you're catering to everybody and not your ideal or your niche client. So make sure you're creating a treatment program or plan that's specialized, that is ideal for your ideal client. And then the other thing is obviously pricing. Make sure you understand the pricing around that, and how do you break that down? Is it weekly payments, fortnightly payments, monthly payments? How are you going to process that in your point of sale? There's quite a few moving parts to it, and I know it sort of sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite simple when you do break it down and put it together. But the best thing is like anything, have a plan and understand exactly every step that you're doing and why you're doing it, opposed to just slapping something together and hoping it's going to work.
I'm just thinking about all the times I've gone to launch a course and what goes on in the back end of like, here's the offer. What are we including in the offer? If we put 50 million things in the offer, it confuses people. It overwhelms them. If we keep it simple, they know exactly what they're getting. And then I love what you said about thinking about the ideal client for this treatment plan. Like if I was looking at a skin clinic and I'm going in there, I hate the way skin therapists put their service menus together. The amount of times I've worked with them and I'm like, let's make this by concern. So the average person who has no idea what peels are, AHAs, BHAs, lactic this, lymphatic that, like, what is the problem and what is the solution? Cool, there's a treatment plan to get rid of my acne that's been, killing my self-confidence and frustrating me for years after I've used all these different products. Like, I'm going on that plan, like make it make sense to the ideal client. Loved that. You also said setting up the treatment plans, like the back end payment processing. What kind of options do people have? Like, I know for me, I've used Stripe. I know there's a few different like booking systems out there. Which ones do you recommend are the most user-friendly for these salon owners?
Yeah, I'm a Forest girly through and through. I know, I think you're a Timely girly, but
plug.
yeah. I honestly, I've personally used Forest in my clinic, and I guess that's why I stand by. I've used it in both of my clinics, and that's probably why that's my default and go-to. And from what I understand, they're looking at bringing out payments for memberships. I know it's been something that's been on their radar. So I think, that would probably be the go-to. I honestly managed it myself, through my booking system and just had a separate payment platform. As you said, you can use Stripe, there's Debit Success, Easy Debit. Like, there's so many different payment providers out there that you can utilize if you wanted to keep it separate to your point of sale. I guess one of the benefits of having it integrated into your booking software is the reporting features, and being able to track, is there a failed payment, or has that payment been successful, or what was the total amount of revenue that was, generated in memberships, without having to pull different reports from different systems. So I do know that a lot of point of sales, memberships are definitely becoming this huge movement in the industry. And I know a lot of point of sales that are moving towards having that as an integrated feature in there as well.
So do you think with memberships, it's a discount or value add? Like, if I've got, let's say, different services, I'm thinking, okay, cool, I'm going to put this into a membership, or is it the same service ongoing that goes into a membership? Like, I want to break down, like, how does this all work in your beautiful brain?
Look, there are so many ways that you could create the treatment program or membership for your business. I think if you wanted to look at a membership model where, a discount is an option on the service for a client, first and foremost, make sure you have the profit margin in the service to be able to do that. I know you're on the same page as me, like minimum profit margin, industry should be at least 30% across all services. So if your profit margin is only sitting at 30% across your services, and then you're giving your clients a 20% discount on their membership treatments, you're only making a 10% profit margin. Are you happy with that? And that's only a question you can really say yes or no yourself, right? But if you are going to go with a discount model for your membership, make sure that you've got sufficient profit in your services to be able to do that. Another way is to look at having, a casual client price where, clients who are just coming in ad hoc for their treatments and they're not committed to a membership or a treatment plan, they pay one price, which is a premium price, and then the membership clients pay another price, which is probably what I classify as your standard pricing. So your membership pricing is your standard, but your premium pricing is for your casual clients. And that's probably a little bit more like a gym model. If you go to a gym and you make a commitment on a membership, you're paying, say, $20 a week. But if you're just going as a casual one-off visit to the gym, you're going to pay $20 just for that one visit. So the other option is to create more of a template style membership where you're value adding. So there's lots of different ways that you can kind of create, your membership offer. And when I work with clinic owners to do this, that is coming down to that, what is your pricing model? Who is your ideal client? What are you wanting to do more of in your business? What does your ideal client respond to? Are they the type of client that responds to discounts or value adds? Or, again, is it just that they want a premium service at a premium price? So it'll really depend on those things as to which model you look at for your membership.
So with different services, there's obviously going to be more favorable things that go into memberships than others. Like we've spoken a lot about skin. What other services work well with the membership model versus which services would you probably say not great?
Yeah. Lashes, tanning, waxing treatments, brow sculpt, tint, all of those, I guess, traditional beauty services work amazing on memberships. Even massages work amazing, float tanks, saunas, all of those types of things. I guess the one thing that I probably see that can be challenging on a membership or a subscription is body contouring, particularly if the client is visiting on a weekly basis for their services. Because the client's traditionally paying weekly as they're booking in for their appointments anyway. So I guess where a subscription or a membership can work really well for body contouring is if it is probably more of that discounted, I guess, model of membership to make that work. Otherwise, there's really like, where does the benefit sit for the client for them to want to make that commitment and lock in those reoccurring payments?
Really interesting. Like I just think for me, the membership makes sense until you've got clients who cancel, failed payments. There's so many things that could go wrong. And I don't mean to sound like the negative Nancy, but I know that there's other people out here that are listening to this and being like, this isn't going to work and why. So what do you have to combat those kind of obstacles when they come up?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously having policies and processes around all of this is going to be your best friend. Definitely having contracts for your clients and payment agreements for your clients as well too. Understanding, is a client making a request to cancel a membership program while they're in a lock-in period, just because they want to cancel it, or are they making a request because they're genuinely in financial hardship, and then how do you want to be portrayed as a business in that sort of sense as well too. My go-to is have a contract, have a commitment period from your client, and as a blanket rule, it's locked in, I guess you could say, where the client can't cancel, and if they do, it's no different to your phone bill where you'd have to pay out the contract that you've agreed to. There are obviously extenuating circumstances for that, like if a client's in financial hardship, I would allow them to pause their membership for a period of time to let them, get back on top of things, because financial difficulty doesn't last forever. And we often know that these clients have made commitments to treatments because it gives them the results or the confidence that they've been looking for. And so having a break for a period of time while they work through financial hardship and then jumping back into their program is generally what we always looked at. With, failed payments, again, having a structured process in place. Communication with client is key. What happens if they have a failed payment? Are they, hit with a penalty for that? And that's, again, often a really great way to stop those failed payments happening. A client doesn't want to be hit with extra charges if they've got a failed payment. No one wants to be hit, with a failed payment fee. So those types of things in place, having your policies and your procedures and your structures around that is going to be really important to mitigate those things. In my experience, though, my percentage of failed payments was always less than 1%. It was such a small percentage of clients who, I guess maybe you could say, did the wrong thing. But in all honesty, the clients who often did default on payments or were requesting to cancel upon reflection weren't our ideal client.
Well, it makes sense, right? People would not want to commit to something for the long term and go through the pain of signing a contract that holds them accountable. Like they just wouldn't sign up at all. And I think that's also probably another great thing about the memberships. It will deter the time wasters from the people who are committed. Did you find that was the case in your business?
Absolutely. Yeah. It almost like eradicated our cancellations or our no-shows in the business, because majority of our clients were on a membership or a treatment plan. And so they had technically paid for the treatment before they'd even, had their appointment. So they didn't want to cancel their appointment. And we got to the point where we were so busy servicing all of our membership clients that if a client did cancel, it was often tricky for them to get an appointment and get back in if they weren't sticking to their schedule as well too. So, I think if you build a business model around, subscriptions, you create demand, and it really will sort of weed out the people who are not your ideal clients.
Tara, I want you to take the stage right now and tell us about one of your greatest success stories, whether it was in your own business or a client you've mentored. What was one treatment plan or membership package that you set up? What was the price point? How often was it getting charged out? And what kind of recurring revenue or stability did you bring to their business from doing that?
It's actually a clinic owner who's based on the Gold Coast that I worked with, and we created treatment plans. And originally, the business was set up to be a destination location to go and have beautiful treatments. And very quickly, the business owner realized that wasn't necessarily a sustainable business model. Although the Gold Coast is quite well known for tourism, it just wasn't sustainable. The income wasn't predictable, and so we introduced treatment programs. And initially, they were sort of short 3-month programs, and then they extended out to 6 months, and then now some of the clients commit to 12 months. And the business went from sort of doing $10,000 months, $15,000 months to $40,000 to $50,000 months in the space of sort of 12 weeks.
That's incredible. And how many people did she have while she was running that? Was it just her?
Yeah, so it was her and team. So originally when she sort of started, it was just her and one team, and now she's got herself and 2 team. And I think at the moment she's got about 60 or 70 people on her membership program. And I will actually happily say I'm one of them. As someone who loves skin treatments, I'm busy, as a lot of us are, being business owners and mums as well too. And one of the things, as I was saying before, you have to make these commitments to yourself to do the things that make you happy. But it's really easy to fall into that default of, I'm busy, I'll postpone that, or I'll reschedule that. And as I was saying before, clients often won't postpone or reschedule an appointment because they've made that financial commitment to it as well. And I'm one of those people, because I've made the financial commitment that's paying for my skin treatment every single week, that when it comes around to my appointment, I am there, rain, hail, or shine. I'm there and I'm having that treatment. But in all honesty, if I didn't have that financial commitment, I probably wouldn't prioritize it for myself. And so I think, as someone who is, I guess, a consumer and also the educator in exactly the same space, it is a win-win on both sides of the fence. It's a win for the clients and it's a win for the business.
I'm even thinking right now, as you're saying all of these things, if I wanted to scale my business and I was looking at hiring and adding in team, memberships just seems like the obvious option to create that stability and security and income. I've spoken to so many people who haven't implemented this system into their business yet, and unless they're very consistent with their lead generation strategy, because let's be real, most of them aren't, they don't have the time, or they're too burnt out, or all the things, the amount of energy and stress that comes with, oh my gosh, we're booked this week, but then this week doesn't have this and that, just that recurring revenue to know you could cover wages, you've got client appointments locked in, it just makes so much sense, right? I think so many people are resistant, or they've jumped on the bandwagon, they loved it. And it's if we got more of the industry moving into memberships, what would the future of beauty look like?
It'd be sustainable. It'll be with certainty. I don't know a single business owner that would be presented with an opportunity to have predictable, guaranteed cash flow, revenue, income into their business, where they could open the doors on a Monday and know that their rent, their wages, their overheads, everything's already taken care of. And then anything else that comes through the till is cream on the top. I wouldn't know a single business owner in this industry who wouldn't want that for their business. I wouldn't know a single business owner in this industry who's not frustrated by feeling, those cancellations and the no-shows that leave not only gaps in the appointment book, but, have a huge financial impact, on the business as well. And it's completely unpredictable. Memberships and treatment plans just eliminate that.
So how can business owners start introducing memberships into their clinic without overwhelming their team?
Yeah, absolutely. Client retention blueprint.
Yes.
So
What
shameless.
do you cover in the client retention blueprint?
Everything that we have really spoken about today in detail, step-by-step instructions on exactly how you can implement that into your business. How do you actually, understand what is client retention beyond the treatment room? Really also understanding how to create a treatment plan and what type of treatment plan is right for you and your business and all of the nitty-gritty steps. How do you actually sell the bloody things to your clients? And this is something that I hear from clinic owners all the time. I've done memberships. They don't work. My team can't sell them. There is a little trick to it. So I teach you exactly how to sell them to your clients as well. And then also how to retain those clients. What happens when they get to the end of, the term of their agreement? Well, we want to make sure we're retaining them long term. So how do we get that further commitment from the client as well too? So, there's a lot more in it than that, but in a nutshell, that's essentially what it is.
So guys, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm so burnt out, I'm sick of trying to do lead gen, Sammy's given me all these tips, but you know what? I don't have the time to do it. I just want client retention. Maybe you need to go to Tara. Actually, no, come to me first. Do profitable pricing. Don't start trying to sell memberships on your own if you don't even know your profit margins. And then you're sitting here going, this is the worst thing I've done to my business because you didn't do the homework first. Absolutely. And then you need to go to Tara and get these memberships set up, because I think there's a lot of companies kind of jumping on the bandwagon and like trying to jump into all these different trainings and like use our platform and all of that. But like do it from the person who was first to market, because they've got the years of experience. They've had all the problems that are going to come up based on like people who are just starting to teach this in the last like 6 to 12 months. Go for someone who has done it the whole time. That's my best advice. If anyone wants to know how you make it in business, you just go to the expert, the person who's done it, you get the advice, and then you don't sit on it and think about it. You just do it.
None of this shelf help stuff. We don't take notes and then put it on the shelf. The shelf doesn't need any help, right? We need to implement the strategies when we get them as well too. Look, I don't know where along the lines we got to the point, and I'm sure it's not just our industry, but in any business where it had to be difficult or it had to be hard. Like, why are we at this point where, everybody's feeling burnt out and stressed and overwhelmed? Yes, business is not going to be easy, but it should be simple and it should be fluid. And if it's not, then you need to take a moment and stop and reflect on what it is that you're actually doing. Like, what are your goals? What's your purpose? What are you working towards? What do you actually want to achieve out of doing this? And maybe reflect on your why. Why did you actually get started in this industry? Why did you decide to go and open your business? Because I'm sure as hell it wasn't to not pay yourself or to work 40 hours a week and not have anything, because if you wanted to work 40 hours a week in the capacity that you are and get paid, you can go and do that for someone else.
You probably get paid more.
Correct. Yep.
Like I actually sit here now and I'm like, in 2025, if you're in a commercial space, like you have to have a team to make it financially viable these days. If you don't, if you're paying 30 to 50K a year on rent, and that's being generous, like that's quite cheap in most cases, like max you can make 100, 150K, like it's a high outlay for a business for sure.
Yeah, like if you're going to pay yourself as a CEO, you should be paying yourself at least 6 figures, and also your retirement plan, whether that's your super or whatever you want to put it into, and based on some really basic expenses as a solo, like your break even would be around $3,500 a week. Right. And that's just the basics of sort of paying yourself the wage. And, yes, if you're a solo, maybe your profit isn't as important. But, then when you start adding team members, that it is so super important to make sure you're all across that profit side of things as well too. So, and again, it really comes down to business and what your goals are as well. What's your why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why did you get into business? And if you got into business because you want to work for yourself and you want to have a life of freedom and you want to be able to be in control of, your earnings and your income, then you really need to have a business that supports you, not you supporting your business all the time.
So true. Do you know what's funny? As we're talking about memberships, I have obviously the bowling alley and I run a membership style model in the bowling alley as well. So we have leagues, but leagues are obviously for old people and boring. So Sammy decided to create a new league, and that is called Wild West Wednesdays. So you come in, you, 3 other mates. You can have 6 on a team, but only 4 bowl. Yep. You just play 2 games. You get a pint or a cocktail of choice, a pizza, and it's just fun social bowling. Mm-hmm. And that took us, so we came out of our busiest month, which is like 200K and then 170K, something like that. And then it drops down in February because school holidays finishes and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's not coming in during the day. We're not getting that, consistent revenue. So I was like, all right, let's bring in a membership or a league kind of style thing. Now, every Wednesday, 2,440 predictable income comes in every single Wednesday on a fortnight. And we've done it well so we can do one on one fortnight and then another on the other fortnight. And people bring in their friends. It's got 6 people on a team. So, more people buying things on the bar. Like any business you have, if you can find a way to create consistency in the revenue, you're also going to feel a lot more confident when it comes to investing in things or hiring team or just making any financial decisions because you're not doing it out of a state of reactivity you're not reactive. You're not a state of scarcity. What am I trying to say? But you know what I mean? Like that security allows you to show up as a better business owner because you don't have to fear where the next dollar is coming from.
Yeah. And you're able to make decisions with certainty as well too. You can go, oh, right, this is how much stock I need to order this week. And that's, because you can predict, oh, okay, this is how many clients are actually coming in, this week, or this is how many patrons we've got coming through the door, for bowling, or, you can have that prediction and know with certainty what it's going to cost you versus what you're going to be generating back in return. And like you were saying before, like the numbers just, they don't lie. If you're a skin clinic and you're doing, facial treatments, and let's say you're charging $150, which is, in my opinion, for a facial on the cheap side. If you're charging $150 for a facial and you've got a client who's committing to a 12-month membership, and then you have 50 clients on that membership program, you're just shy of $100,000 in revenue a year just from having 50 clients commit to a membership program.
It's a no-brainer. As we wrap up this episode, I want to quickly move into a hot seat round where I'm just going to shoot some rapid fire questions to you. So this is Tara's hot takes on memberships, client retention, and business success. So, Tara, are you ready?
Yes. I'm nervous.
What's the biggest mistake clinic owners make with client retention?
Blaming their team and saying that they don't know how to rebook and they should because they're qualified or they're experienced. You just haven't given your team the strategies and the resources that they need to actually succeed at it.
I'm going to add on to that. Not following up.
Yeah.
Don't follow up. I'm like, it's like going on the best date of your life and then just never sending a message after. Awkward.
It's so true. I actually just updated a strategy that I share with my clients, and it's called No Client Left Behind. And it is about client follow-up because you shouldn't be leaving your clients behind.
Powerful. What's one sales myth that needs to die?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Your clients care about the ingredients in the treatments and the products that you're using. They actually don't. They couldn't give a shit. If you told them that a product was going to work and it was the number one anti-aging product on the market and it was X amount of dollars, they're going to buy it. And if you said exactly the same thing and then told them that it had monkey poo in it, they're still going to buy it because you're just creating a solution to a problem that the client has, and you've made a compelling enough reason that it's right for them and then it's going to work for them. Like, they actually don't care what ingredients are in your products or in your treatments. Stop trying to sell services and products, based on what's actually in them, and start focusing on what is the solution that it actually provides to your client.
Love it. Let's hope there's no like vegan, eco-friendly, because they might come at you. No, I'm kidding.
It's definitely a part of it. Like, for us, when I had my clinic, we really prided ourselves on ensuring our products were Australian made, Australian owned, and that they were also friendly for the environment. That was always really important to us, but it wasn't necessarily a selling point, that wholehearted selling point. The selling point was being a solution to a problem that the client had.
Love it. What is the fastest way to improve rebooking rates?
Train your team. make sure you train your team so that they know exactly how to rebook and retain their clients. Introduce memberships and treatment plans into your business. It creates, certainty and commitment from your clients as well. And for the love of God, have a consistent client journey in your business. Like, be consistent, have the same process. So when the client comes in, they're having this beautiful experience every time, regardless of whether they see Kate or whether they see Jane. You want the experience to be the same for them every single time.
What's one thing you wish you knew before launching your very first membership?
To make sure my numbers were profitable. Believe it or not, my first membership was not profitable. It was a very expensive mistake.
Hey guys, have some free services. Your dream skincare routine, if you could only use 3 products, what would they be?
Oh, the Promé Exosomes Serum from Monastetica. I am in love with a Murad cleanser that I was so kindly gifted as well too. And I just can't think of the name of it, but it is absolutely divine. I'm in love with it. It's got beautiful orange on the packaging. And what else? SPF, definitely.
I knew you were going to say that. I was about to say like SPF.
Yeah, either my everyday SPF or my sticky zinc.
Very interesting. I feel like that would be very off-brand if you come from a skin background and you don't say SPF. Like,
it was SPF or mascara. I was a bit like, I wasn't quite sure, but it was definitely SPF.
Oh, I love it. Tara, this has been absolutely gold. Like, where can people connect with you, work with you, or learn more about the client retention blueprint?
Yeah, Instagram is such a beautiful place to connect. I love it. I find a lot of you are all on Instagram. I think that's how you and I connected as well too. So my Instagram handle is Tara__Shaw, spelled SHAW. So that's probably the best place to connect with me, or find me on Facebook as well. Add me. I'm always down for a chat.
Oh my gosh, I can definitely tell that we're different ages when you say Facebook, because I'm like, my Facebook Messenger has not been checked in like 2 years.
Look, I have a Facebook group, and I guess that's probably where, like, if you find me on Facebook, you'll find my Facebook group, which is, I guess, a nice little community, for our industry as well. But predominantly Instagram. I'm with you on the Instagram thing. I probably need to check my Facebook messages. Sorry, we can reply.
So good. Any final advice to beauty business owners who want to stop chasing new clients and start creating real sustainable revenue?
Introduce treatment plans and memberships into your business and focus more on client retention instead of hustling for new clients all the time. There's definitely a balance with marketing and, client retention. But if you don't have a client retention strategy in place, your clients are going to fall through those holes in your bucket.
So valuable. Everything you've shared today has been really insightful. Like, I've learned so much. I know anyone who's listened to this has probably learned so much. And if you have listened to this, you've found value in it, you've learned something new, please take a screenshot, share it to your Instagram stories, tag Tara and I, and let us know what your biggest key takeaway is. That way we can figure out, what do you guys actually want to hear here? And like, what kind of guests or episodes? Like, I want to know how I can make this show super valuable for you. So thank you for your time, Tara. Thank you if you've listened to this episode. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will catch you for the next one. Bye.
Audience exclusive.